Hello, welcome back to Advent Calendar Day 2. Here we're going to be talking about the letters C and D. It's unknown territory. I know, I'm scared, but we're gonna do it. So for C, unfortunately, I got some bad news. I am a Call of Duty fanboy. And Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is a very good one. I don't really know where I can put it in terms of where its lasting impact is, but I can tell you that it is a very good Call of Duty game if you already knew that you liked Call of Duty. I think that if you're up for the modern COD like multiplayer experience, or you're able to push through some little annoyances like no recurring lobbies or no, no such thing as a easy roll win, because skill-based matchmaking is pretty powerful, although I think that that's actually a good thing. I mean, I generally like the matchmaking in Black Ops 6 personally, but that is my opinion, man. I would say that this is one of my most played games of the year by far, and it just came out in like October. It's fascinating how much the Treyarch can always seem to just get the formula right and provide some neat little tunes and nice quality of life. It's kind of what Call of Duty is. It's almost like a quality of life, or a slight difference in the formula that studio has their philosophy in, and other studios have their philosophies in. So every year it's not really a new game, but it's like every 3 or 4 years is it really a new game. And I think in terms of comparing it to Cold War, which I guess is Black Ops 5, but we're just not going to call it that, this is a very good improvement. Cold War was like Treyarch's turn to go back to its roots. It's like their version of 2019, where they're getting a lot of things complex in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. They kind of returned to that in Cold War, although they had like some questionable score streaks not resetting and when you died, but you got them faster if you didn't die. So there is some question marks. But Black Ops 6 is a return to form. Classic Prestige is back. Round-based zombies is back. The campaign is good. Up until the end, I realized that the ending, as in like probably the last 30 minutes of the game, is not the best. But everything from start all the way up to that point, very good. In terms of a Call of Duty, I've been thinking about making a Call of Duty video. Like the video and comment if you want to see a Call of Duty like ranking or list, campaigns or whole package, whatever. But anyway, I would definitely just say that it's very solid. And C doesn't have a whole lot of competition, honestly. CounterStrike 2, maybe, but honestly, that game is just, it didn't do things the right way. I understand that they had to go to CS2, but Counter-Strike Global Offensive was the pinnacle of tactical first-person shooters on PC. Counter-Strike 2 launched, it basically was almost strictly taking away features with the exception of volumetric smokes, which are really cool, and the graphics and the Source 2 port, very, very cool. But that was at the cost of surf maps and all of the extra modes that were in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It's just not very well to be justified, in my opinion. I mean, look, man, a C game that's not Call of Duty. Are we thinking like Chess Ultra? Chess is a good one. I guess I didn't think about that. But there aren't a whole lot of honorable mentions. Cook Serve Forever I played briefly at the start of the year, but that is a very kind of a small one for sure. Crazy Taxi, Tim Waltz played that one, so that's an honorable mention.
So
Cult of the Lamb and Curse to Golf, I got those because they were specifically like Steam Decky games, and I agree, those are some very solid games, but for whatever reason, the single player formula for those games did not leave me much impact. I was not itching to play more, but Call of Duty I'm wanting to do the daily challenges. I'm wanting to get the camos, and so that's my junk food. Call of Duty's video game junk food, and it's goody. Now, for number D. For letter D, we have a lot, actually, to pick from here. So, in a typical way, I can just kind of go through why some of these didn't. Starting with Dale and Dawson, stationary supplies. Deduction games are fantastic. I think that it's a really great party game genre. It's easy for everybody to get into, but you can get some little tricks and be clever, especially when it's in a video game. And you don't, obviously you don't have to work on as hard about lying about things. So Dale and Dawson's very cool. It's also very indirect in how you mess with people. It's not really that you kill them or get them out of the game. It's that you just mess with the work. I just think that game is a little underdeveloped, if I'm going to be honest. It feels like it's too easy to see that a slacker is slacking off and the bar doesn't really move appropriately. And what they can do to mess other people up is very risky. Like, there's no reason for you to be on somebody else's computer as a normal person, so you can't like use that as an excuse. So if you're at somebody else's workstation in that game, bad news, bye. You're basically like instantly sussed out. And so it's super hard, and just the way that you play it, if you're playing with a group and you get out early, you're waiting 30 minutes to play another game. It does not really wrap itself up very fast. So it's fun. I don't regret it, but it is not like D game of the year, which it's not the best. Another honorable mention would be Dave the Diver. My wife plays Dave the Diver a lot. Played 60 hours of Dave the Diver in about a month, which is kind of insane. I'm not going to lie. That's a lot of playtime for Dave the Diver. The best part about Dave the Diver is that it starts out with a really simple concept, but then it will present all these like branching paths of like what you can possibly do, to a point where by the end of the game, there's like 15 people that are asking you to do different things, and you can kind of pursue whatever you want. But in the end of the day, like, wow, like oftentimes you're like on your boat and then you can like prepare to dive for the day and like get your fish or whatever, but people will drive up, and at first it's like really nice. It's like, oh wow, it's like the dude that wants me to collect different fish, or like, oh wow, it's the one that wants me to take pictures, or oh wow, it's a phone call from the weapons guy and he wants me to pick up his anime figurines. The art is fantastic. The game is phenomenal. I got it last year, but I didn't play it a lot last year. This one was obviously in the running for like game of the year last year in 2023. There are just some faults to it, and it just didn't win out in the end. Another big banger is Disco Elysium. I had never played it. It was a game that I got for really, really cheap when the final cut was like $8 or something really low like that. And I said like, well, yeah, sure. And then it just so happens to be one of the greatest CRPGs of all time. That is not even a joke. In terms of narration and creativity and just having a great time, and it's almost like a visual novel of sorts. It's nuts. It's not Baldur's Gate 3, believe me, it's not. But in terms of the fact that there's just no combat at all, you just don't have to worry about it. It's literally you pick what you're saying. You can sort of like get your different traits, and you have these like cognition moments, and you have to pick like what you want to spec into, things like that. Ultimately, Disco Elysium is a very solid game. If you like reading, I think that it's fantastic. It was nearly there, but Valve did something this year. Yep. So Deadlock is Valve's newest project, and I have been loving it. And I love the idea of it, and I just like the general vibe and idea. behind like the noir, different IP. It's super fresh. You're basically feeding your patron in order to get more power, but it's a MOBA. That's the biggest downfall. And my friends hate MOBAs. They won't play with me. I do have a MOBA friend, singular, that will play, and it's been a lot of fun, especially when everyone was brand new and fresh at it. But my goodness gracious, once the initial honeymoon period of like the Deadlock is public now from it, because at one point it was just kind of like, oh, it got leaked because there were testers, and then it was like, oh, you can get a code to play the game, but you can't like go onto Steam and just download it. I don't even know if it's still the case, but there was like a embargo lifted, and then it got super popular. But now I think all of the new people that were playing Deadlock because it was just released and it got super popular, they're all gone now, buddy. You know, your people that wanted to play like Dota, people that wanted to play like Overwatch, you know, like the third person part of it, or like the just general hero shooter part of it, they left. I'm sorry, man. When I was getting footage for this game, everything was getting rolled, and I understand. It's a skill issue. I know the game is probably very well balanced, although there is some issues with that, because there is like an item that it says like, oh, become immune to bullets, and there are a few heroes in particular that will just rage and cry every time they see that item, because their entire kit, like they can't shoot you with like non-bullets, they just have to shoot you. So to be completely immune to bullets, that's a pretty strong item. I like the idea of having strong items in MOBAs in general, because that really like impacts and makes things important, the macro game. And I know Deadlock at one point was kind of praised that it had a really good macro game, because you didn't have to super focus too hard in laning, even if you lost a lane, as they would say. If in like, you know, within 10 minutes you're really dying to the dude that you're up against in your lane, it used to not be that big of a deal, honestly, in terms of team fights. But maybe it's the matchmaking or something, but now I feel like that's much more important. And they made a lot of changes too. They make changes all the time, and it makes it kind of hard to like play it even casually, because sometimes it's just like, oh, this person's really busted this week, and you have to accept it because, you know, it's a pre-alpha. It's not even an alpha, and this game isn't going to come out until like 2026, probably, at the very least. But I like that they're still like basically always wanting to use the community to test things. So the Hero Labs is like 6 different characters now, and I know that there are some veterans that are kind of waiting for things to get into a more finished state, and I'm probably going to be one of those people too. Whenever I play a MOBA, it's probably not going to be Deadlock as much, but man, didn't I play a lot of Deadlock this year, and I have to give it my number 1 D game that I played this year. All right, so I think that about covers it, at least for this little day. I will see you tomorrow. Have fun. Go on. Have fun. Click one of the videos. Subscribe. Let's be here.